Well, hello, awesome sauces. We are trying something different here. We are kind of making a little bit more of a lounging kind of vibe here. I hope I hope this can be a good time for you. I hope that this can be an interesting chilling with Wilson kind of here. I'm gonna bring you closer. Yeah, we're gonna get real close. There we go. Yeah, now we're like family. Now you get to hang out. Solomon, I appreciate you coming on to the stream, all your support, all your love. I will admit, we're gonna figure out how this live streaming thing is gonna work like this. But I look forward to having this stream, having this opportunity where we can be doing this together and diving into God's Word. Again, this is gonna be different. Those of you who are online are like, what's going on? Why does he sound different? It's because we are trying this new thing where it's like a lounging thing. So if you want to check that out, that's on YouTube. You're going to see a little bit more of a lounging kind of disposition of Wilson getting to display some more of the funness that is the office that I get to awesomely work in. And then really, it's just kind of going, all right, we can have fun with this. We can do this a little bit differently now. So I hope that it's good. I hope that you're excited for this. That pillow, right? The pillows are nice. And then if I fall asleep, I'm right there, right? So, here, I got an idea. It's always in the middle of the stream that you have an idea. And just hold on. Of course, it's during the idea that, I gotta throw down. I gotta see if we can pull this off. We are also going to be working on sound dampening a little bit more today. And it's going to be stuff like that. So, yeah, we're going to be trying something new today. See how this works. Those of you on live stream, thank you for joining in the craziness and stuff like that. But right now, that way I could see Solomon's comments, and then I don't feel out of place. Hoping the light adjusts a little bit. If not, well, we're going to cry a little bit. And adjust? Maybe not. We're gonna figure it out. But here we are now. Okay. Again, this is all trial and error, guys. This is the wonderful work that we get to be a part of and try and do and master it all. Definitely we'll need to work on... Ooh, maybe? Is it going to adjust? Oh, it did! We cheat this way. Okay, now we know the cheat codes. So this is very good. This is very good. All right. So we are sitting in the awesome, the great John chapter 9. We've been seeing Jesus kind of throw down pretty hard in the last chapter. It was kind of crazy. He's kind of doing the same thing, but he's more pointed on one topic, one thing this time. And so, guys, I hope you're ready. Hope you're excited to get into God's Word, to sit with Jesus, what's been going on with John, sit with John and see what he is seeing and sharing with us. So, again, I'm going to pray. Actually, I'm not going to pray. I'm just going to read, because we start off with reading, and then we end with prayer. Getting too excited with this change-up. That's all it is. As Jesus was walking along, he saw a man who had been blind from birth. Rabbi, his disciples asked him, why was this man born blind? Was it because of his own sin or his parents' sins? It was not because of his sin or his parents' sins, Jesus answered. This happened so the power of God could be seen in him. We must quickly carry out the tasks assigned us by the one who sent us. The night is coming, and then no one can work. But while I am here in the world. I am the light of the world." Then he spit on the ground, made mud with the saliva, and spread the mud over the blind man's eyes. He told him, "Go wash yourself in the pool of Siloam." Siloam means sent. That's pretty cool. So the man went and washed and came back seeing. His neighbors and others who knew him as a blind beggar asked each other, "Isn't this the man who used to sit and beg?" Some said he was, and others said, "No, he just looks like him." But the beggar kept saying, "Yes, I am the same one." They asked, "Who helped you? What happened?" He told them, "The man they called Jesus made mud and spread it over my eyes and told me, 'Go to the pool of Siloam and wash yourself.' So I went and washed, and now I can see." "Where is he now?" they asked. "I don't know," he replied. Then they took the man who had been blind to the Pharisees. Because it was on the Sabbath that Jesus had made the mud and healed him, the Pharisees asked the man all about it. So he told them, "He put mud over my eyes, and when I washed it, I could see." Some of the Pharisees said, "This man, Jesus, is not from God. He is working on the Sabbath." Others said, "But how could an ordinary sinner do such miraculous signs?" So there was a deep division of opinion among them. Then the Pharisees again questioned the man who had been blind and demanded, "What's your opinion about this man who healed you?" The man replied, "I think he must be a prophet." The Jewish leaders still refused to believe the man and had been blind and could now see. So they called his parents. Man, these guys are thick. They asked them, "Is this your son? Was he born blind? If so, how can he now see?" His parents replied, "We know this is our son and that he was born blind, but we don't know how he can see or who healed him. Ask him. He's old enough to speak for himself." His parents said this because they were afraid of the Jewish leaders who had announced that anyone saying Jesus was the Messiah would be expelled from the synagogue. That's why they said, "He is old enough, ask him." Wow, bullying, right? So for the second time they called in the man who had been blind and told him, "God should get the glory for this, because we know this man Jesus is a sinner." "I don't know whether he is a sinner," the man replied, "but I know this, I was blind, and now I see." "But what did he do?" they asked. "How did he heal you?" "Look," the man exclaimed, "I told you once. Didn't you listen? Why do you want to hear it again? Do you want to become his disciples too?" Ho! Nothing like a good jab, right? Nothing like a good jab. Then they cursed him and said, "You are his disciple, but we are disciples of Moses. We know God spoke to Moses, but we don't even know where this man comes from." "Why? That's very strange," the man replied. "He healed my eyes, and yet you don't know where he comes from. We know that God doesn't listen to sinners, but he is ready to hear those who worship and do his will. Ever since the world began, no one has been able to open the eyes of someone born blind. If this man were not from God, he couldn't have done it." "You were born a total sinner," they answered. "Are you trying to teach us?" And they threw him out of the synagogue. When Jesus heard what had happened, he found the man and asked, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" The man answered, "Who is he, sir? I want to believe in him." "You have seen him," Jesus said, "and he is speaking to you." "Yes, Lord, I believe," the man said, and he worshipped Jesus. Then Jesus told him, "I entered this world to render judgment, to give sight to the blind, and to show those who think they see that they are blind." Some Pharisees who were standing nearby heard him and asked, "Are you saying we're blind?" If you were blind, you wouldn't be guilty, Jesus replied. But you remain guilty because you claim you can see. Woo! Jesus throwing down the sauce. Woo! Throwing down some serious throwdown. Throwdown. That's how bad it is. Oh man, guys. This has so much irony in this, right? Because we have a moment where Jesus is totally chilling with this blind guy, right? Who's literally just doing his own thing. He's minding his own business. And that's not a bad thing. And it's the disciples that bring it up. Yo, hey, Jesus, who sinned? Was it this dude or was it his parents? Because, like, clearly blindness is a form of a curse. And I heard this actually just last week in the response of the disciples just outright not thinking about what they were saying, right? Because in that culture that made sense. That if you did something wrong, something bad was going to happen. It was a very, almost karma vibe to it, right? And when you read the Psalms and Proverbs, it's very much, you do bad things are going to happen to you. You do good things, blessings are going to come to you. But Ecclesiastes definitely throws down that doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes just bad things happen. Sometimes bad people get good things. And sometimes good people just get dumped on. And it sucks. And you just gotta take it. And what I appreciate out of Jesus, right? Because he knows the true purpose of why this person's even here, right? He understands why they're even on the road here. It's for Jesus to show up and to do some amazing healing, to be able to change his life for the glory of God, right? And so then he literally takes a moment, steps to the side, and does like a and makes mud. It's really weird. But again, if you're thinking about the context of what, yeah, Solomon, it's really weird. But if you think about what we had been talking about earlier, what we have been learning about Jesus through this process, he's the living water. He's the one who brings the healing. He's the one who's the sustainer. So yes, the spit might be like, oh, that's kind of like gross and stuff like that. But it's like your own water, right? It's your own saliva. It's your own kind of stuff like that that's coming out. And in that, we see this now pool, this pre-pool of healing put onto the man. And when he goes to wash, he can now see, right? It's like a physical representation of he had something over his eyes, and when he washed it, when God decided to take away the thing, now he's healed. Now he's made right. Now he can see clearly what's going on here. And like, that's so cool to be able to have, right? That's a whole other level. But then here's the other part. It's the Pharisees, right? Who hear about this, who hear what's going on. And of course, Jesus pulls the other part. He's healing on the Sabbath again. He's getting into trouble. He's stirring the pot in a very, like, focused, literal way of like, okay, like, you know, this is how we're going. This is what we're doing. And he's just honestly wanting to kind of test this out. But I love how the teaching doesn't come out of Jesus really on this one until the end. Because, you know, the Pharisees are freaking out. They're trying to find out who it is that does this miracle. And the blind man doesn't know. Like, he didn't know. He didn't see the guy. He literally just gets this mud on his eyes, goes wash up, and now he can see. And that's all he knows. But, like, he's attesting to this. And here the Pharisees are freaking out. Who did this? What's going on? What? No, you can't be seeing. You're like, you were always seeing. What are you talking about? You were never blind. He's like, dude, like, legit. I was blind and now I see, right? Like, this is a thing. Oh, we gotta talk to his parents. We gotta verify this with another witness account. So, like, they rush around like madmen, just like trying to figure this out. And even his parents, right? They're like, He was blind from birth. And now he sees. Well, how did he do this? Dude, who is he talking to? What's going on? And they're like, we don't know. We weren't there with him. It's like, well, was he actually blind? And they don't want to cause a ruckus, and they don't want to be kicked out from the synagogue. You notice that later on, it says that if they were to contest, right? Because they were afraid the Jewish leaders who had announced that anyone saying Jesus was the Messiah would be expelled from the synagogue. Why that's such a big thing is because that's the community. The synagogue is where you are able to meet, and you're able to learn about God, and you're able to grow together in that community and understanding and closeness to God and reading the scriptures. You would take that and you would digest it throughout the week, as you do typically on Sundays. But like this is the step where you're taking it a little step further. You're learning through the process and digesting it together. And so they didn't want to be cut off from that community. They didn't want to be cut off from the people. And so that's why they said, well, he's old enough to be able to give an account. Talk to the guy. Like, talk to our son directly. So, of course, they edge him further and further and keep pushing it. Like, who is this? You must be in leagues with this guy. And funny how the blind man starts throwing down like legitimate basic gospel, like basic understanding of how God operates, how he shows up, right? Because all this prior time he's like, I don't know, I was blind, now I see. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Are you guys wanting to be disciples? Is this why, like, you're asking the details? You're looking for how is the right way to go about this? Like, what's going on here? And they just keep pushing, right? Then they cursed him, right? And said, you are his disciples, but we are disciples of Moses. We know God spoke to Moses, but we don't know where this man comes from. They're trying to piece it together, but they're still not listening, right? Like, Jesus literally, last chapter, was saying, look at me. I'm the guy that everything else is pointing to. I'm the one that you need to be listening to. Why can't you just seem to get that through your head? Like, y'all nuts, kind of stuff like that. And they're still not willing to take it. They're still not willing to take it in. It's kind of frustrating, right? So then, why, that's very strange, the man replied. He healed my eyes, and yet you don't know where he comes from. We know that God doesn't listen to sinners, but he is ready to hear those who worship him and do his will. Ever since the world began, no one has been able to open the eyes of someone born blind. If this man were not from God, he couldn't have done it. Like, guys, it's as simple as that. It's as easy as that. And yet the guy is so thick in the head. The guys are so thick in the head, focusing on, well, it can't be Jesus. He can't do this. He can't be healing people because only God can heal people. It's like, knock, knock. Like, doy. It's because God is doing this. He's bringing the healing. He's the one who's sustaining them. He's the one who did this work. But they're not willing to acknowledge that it's Jesus. And so what was a physical healing of blindness became a spiritual clarity for this man. Because later on, Jesus is able to talk with him, right? About the point of, do you believe in the Son of Man, right? He's going back to Daniel chapter 7. The promise that there's this guy who's going to restore order. There's going to be this guy who's going to be going against the systems of the world. And he's going to be making this right. And, like, that's the thing about Jesus, right? Like, he is willing to throw down. He's willing to throw down here, man. He's willing to meet and just simply say, guys, like, I'm right here. But you have to be willing to ask and be willing to actually look for a direct answer, to actually hear from him. And the Pharisees aren't. They just want to find a way to take care of him to destroy him, to wreck him. It's just so frustrating. Because you see Jesus' heart in it. And so when he's asking that, the man answered, "Who is he? I want to believe in him." Because he's never heard this, apparently. He's already been discarded from the community because of how the disciples first viewed him. Oh, he must have sinned, or his parents must have sinned. So when his parents come in and they don't want to ruffle feathers, maybe they just got into the community not too long ago when their son kind of ventured off on his own. Had to take care of himself, had to figure it out in his blindness. Maybe they just got back to the community, they didn't want to lose it. But here in this case, Jesus is willing to tell him, right? You have heard him, and you are seeing him right now. And the man immediately goes into worship. Like, immediately. The scales, the stuff, the things that were holding him back are gone, and he sees clearly. Again, I love how John does a lot of juxtaposing between what was going on with the Pharisees or with the religious leaders or with the people that should have been getting it and then weren't getting it versus the ones who were getting it that are the ones who are supposed to be taught to get it. You see what I'm saying? You get what you following me here, guys? Like, this is just nuts. Solomon, I appreciate that. Seems the Pharisees are the blind ones. They purposely blind themselves to Jesus' actions / truth. 100%. 100%, Solomon. But in this case, it's like a legitimate choice to be blind, as you just said. His actions and not willing to accept the truth, not willing to take it in, right? And the hard thing is we got to ask ourselves, do we do the same thing? This is what we're supposed to ponder, right? Because Jesus ends it off really well here, right? He's calling out what the Pharisees are doing, right? Because he makes a call out. I'll read the last few verses. Then Jesus told him, "I entered the world to render judgment and to give sight to the blind and to show those who think they see that they are blind." Some Pharisees who were standing nearby heard him and asked, "Are you saying we're blind?" Ultimate comeback right here, guys. Get ready for it. "If you were blind, you wouldn't be guilty," Jesus replied. "But you remain guilty because you claim you can see." Like, the trash talk is real. Jesus' throwdown is real, right? Like, he's not just throwing at this lightly. This is legit. Like, Jesus is just, no, man, this isn't right. This is messed up. You claim to see, but you are blind, and you're not willing to work with this. You're so focused on you and your self-righteousness, and it doesn't work. So yeah, Jesus is tongue-in-cheek commenting on the Pharisees. So here's the follow-up, guys. Here's the follow-up that you need to be doing after, of course, physically reading this awesome word and sitting on it. Keep on chewing on John 9 throughout the day. But here's the thing that we need to sit on. Are you choosing to be ignorant about Jesus? Are you choosing to put the blinders on? Because Jesus doesn't fit what you think should be happening. Because Jesus talked a certain way and you didn't like it. Or Jesus made a call out on something that you didn't like to hear. Or are you willing to go to Jesus as a blind man? And he didn't even go. Jesus saw him. Jesus saw him as blind. And he was willing to just take the healing, right? He did what he was told by Jesus. Just go. Get cleansed. You've been sent. And now you see. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to look to Jesus? And I love some other blind men. They call out for Jesus. Son of David, heal me. Are you willing to do that, to go that far, to be able to see Jesus? Are you willing to see Jesus for who he really is? The Son of Man, this prophesied one who would get trampled by the system but then come back and reign supreme over the system that tried to take him down. The one who still offers love and grace to those who are willing to take it. Are you willing to do that? Or are you going to hold a grudge because Jesus doesn't fit your wonderful little box? Because Jesus doesn't see the world the way you see the world. It's really the question here. Are you going to be the Pharisee or are you going to be the blind man? Are you willing to meet with him there? Are you willing to let him be glorified instead of you? Because it's not about us, it's about him. That's really the end case of it all. It's all about him, not about us. Well, guys, I'm going to pray. And then we're going to close the stream. I hope you've been enjoying Nerds in the Word time on the couch. Hanging out with Wilson. Being able to see some nerdy pillows and stuff like that. Hope it's been a good time. Just chilling. Maybe you needed that. Maybe you just needed to feel like you need to take a break. Take a breather. And just enjoy where God's putting you at right now. So let's pray. Father God, I thank you that you meet us even though we can be blind to ourselves. We can be so fixated on how we see things. We can be so fixated on our circumstances, our situations that we're thrown at. Feel like, oh, this is God's judgment on us. This is God upset at me. Somehow I've messed this up. But God, I appreciate that even in the times of the struggle, it's about your glory. So God, help us to have those visors taken off. Help us to in partnership, have those things removed. That we willingly choose to, we want to look for you. We want to see you. We want to see your work done instead of how we think things should be handled and done. God, help us to give that to you. Help us to honestly meet you and earnestly be there with you. We want to see you for who you are, the Son of Man, your favorite title that gave clarity to who you are and the promise of your coming kingdom. Your coming kingdom is healing and restoration, peace, community with the Father. But it's looking to you. You are our sustainer. You are the living water. You are the light of the world that shines and brings clarity to things around us. Let us not be people who love the dark more than the light. God, just be with us as we go on out with our families. Help us to be in step with you, to listen with you, to take our time, that when we get flustered, when we get freaking out, or even just if we just feel tired and battered down, we can just come and meet with you, sit with you, know that you are a good God that meets with us and loves on us. We ask this in your name. Amen. Well, guys, this is the first stream with with me on my couch. I hope it was a good time. I hope that you've been able to enjoy this time, that it may be a relaxing spot for you, that you could just come on and hang out with Wilson on the couch. This is why legitimately I've got this couch in this office. It's First time in a long time that I get to use the couch. So I'm very excited about this, finally putting the couch for my use. Yeah. Know that if you need to chat, we've got the Discord. Hop onto the community there. We got awesome people that are willing to pray with you if you got prayer requests, or just hang out and chat with you. Because we're a community. We're there for support. We are there to love on one another. Yes, join the Discord, as Solomon throws down. But also, just if you're local, or if you're in the area, come on by. Grab a seat on the couch. Let's chat. Let's talk about life. Let's talk about faith. Let's talk about nerdom. But more importantly, let's talk about Jesus. Cool. Love you guys. And now I get to wonderfully figure out how I'm going to end the stream in not an awkward way. It's going to be awkward, but we're going to figure it out. All right. Love you guys. I'm muting.